Barakata Yahweh, Barakata Yahushai, Ba'ashim Raka Kodash, Barakatom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, glory, and infinite honors to Yahweh, Ba'ashim Yahushai. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule and teach well, and peace and salutations to you Akim out there pushing this word in truth and sincerity to the four corners of the globe. May you brothers endure until the end. This is the brother Raya with another video, and I'm going to start it off with Jeremiah 28, verse 8 through 9. The prophets that have been before me and before thee of old prophesied both against many countries and against great kingdoms, of war and of evil and of pestilence. Verse 9, the prophets which prophesieth of peace, when the word of the prophet shall come to pass, then shall the prophet be known that Yahweh hath truly sent him. And the prophets that have been before me and before thee of old are back here today through the reincarnation in their same lot, doing the same thing, prophesying against many countries and against great kingdoms, such as Babylon the Great, which is the biblical name of the United States of America, as well as Russia and China, etc., etc., of war, this upcoming nuclear-armed World War III, that battle of Armageddon, that battle in the Valley of Jehoshaphat, and of evil and of pestilence, and there will be a nuclear-armed conflict in the near future. It's been prophesied to happen in the scriptures, and nothing will happen to avert it. So anybody out there, or any so-called prophet you hear prophesying of peace, you'll see that his word will come for naught. So don't get your hopes up. If you're an Israelite that understands this truth, just hunker down and do whatever you can to make sure Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushai puts his protective covering over you when Jacob's trouble hits. So you'll be protected from all these coming calamities. But now I'm going to get into an article on Reuters.com titled, Risk of Nuclear War Now Highest Since World War II. One woe is past. Now two more woes come hereafter. That second woe being World War II, and this third and final woe being World War III, which will be nuclear armed. UN Arms Research Chief says. This vibration's going out here for a reason, because Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushai is about to visit this wicked world for all of its iniquity. The risk of nuclear weapons being used is at its highest since World War II, a senior UN security expert said on Tuesday, calling it an urgent issue that the world should take more seriously. Renita Dawn, director of the UN Institute for Disarmament Research, UNIDIR, said all states with nuclear weapons have nuclear modernization programs underway, and the arms control landscape is changing, partly due to strategic competition between China and the United States. Traditional arms control arrangements are also being eroded by the emergence of new types of war, with increasing prevalence of armed groups and private sector forces and new technologies that blurred the line between offense and defense, she told reporters in Geneva. With disarmament talks stalemated for the past 2 decades, 122 countries have signed a treaty to ban nuclear weapons, partly out of frustration and partly out of a recognition of the risks, she said. I think that it's genuinely a call to recognize, and this has been somewhat missing in the media coverage of the issues, that the risks of nuclear war are particularly high now, and the risks of the use of nuclear weapons, for some of the factors I pointed out, are now higher now than at any time since World War II. The Nuclear Ban Treaty, officially called the Treaty for the Prohibition of Nuclear Weapons, was backed by the International Campaign to Abolish Nuclear Weapons, ICAN, which won the Nobel Peace Prize in 2017. Hey, those prophets of peace trying to avert this coming nuclear war. The treaty has so far gathered 23 of the 50 ratifications that it needs to come into force, including South Africa, Austria, Thailand, Vietnam, and Mexico. It is strongly opposed by the United States, Babylon the Great, Russia, or Gog, that northern country, and other states with nuclear arms. And it's no coincidence that the United States and Russia are opposed to it, because the Most High is using these two nations in this upcoming nuclear-armed conflict. Cuba also ratified the treaty in 2018, 56 years after the Cuban Missile Crisis, a 13-day Cold War face-off between Moscow and Washington that marked the closest the world had ever come to nuclear war. Dawn said the world should not ignore the dangers of nuclear weapons. How we think about it and how we act on that risk and the management of that risk seems to me a pretty significant and urgent question, she said. She added that it was not being adequately addressed in arms-controlled talks or multilateral bodies such as the UN Security Council, nor by bilateral arrangements between states. On Wednesday, China's disarmament ambassador in Geneva accused Washington of sabotaging and tearing up deals and having a Cold War mentality, and said Washington displayed bullying behavior all through the Willie Yahweh Shim Yahushai to stir up these nations against each other for this upcoming nuclear conflict. And again, there will be a nuclear-armed conflict. It's all a part of these scriptures to take place, to bring in the new kingdom of the true children of Israel, the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans who will rule for eternity. This is Joel chapter 2. I'm going to read verse 1 through 8. Blow ye the trumpet in Zion, and sound an alarm in my holy mountain, which the prophets of the Most High, chiefly through GMS, are doing by warning you Israelites of these coming calamities. Let all the inhabitants of the land tremble, for the day of Yahweh cometh, for it is nigh at hand, and it is nigh at hand. This terrible time of Jacob's trouble is right around the corner. You can see it if you're keeping your eyes in the news and in these scriptures. Wars and rumors of wars, nation against nation, kingdom against kingdom, famines and pestilences. Verse 2, a day of darkness and of gloominess, a day of clouds and of thick darkness, as the morning spread upon the mountains, a great people and a strong, there had not been ever the like, neither shall be any more after it, even to the years of many generations. And this great people and a strong is referring to those nuclear missiles, and where it says there had not been ever the like, that's referring to how these destructive weapons came about very recently, beginning with those atomic bombs during World War II, and where it says, neither shall be any more after it, even to the years of many generations. Once these nuclear missiles are fired, all of them are going to be fired. There's not going to be one left. And after that, when the true children of Israel are back in power, we're not going to allow these heathens to make weapons like that anymore. And we're also going to destroy their other weapons, such as their tanks and their jets and their rifles and their grenades and missiles, what have you. Verse 3, a fire devoureth before them, and behind them a flame burneth. The land is as the Garden of Eden before them. The land looks normal. You've got cities and people, and behind them a desolate wilderness. After that nuclear destruction, everything's going to look like well, not everything, but a lot of places, and all of the United States of America is going to look like a desolate wasteland, like that video game Fallout. Yeah, and nothing shall escape them. The appearance of them is as the appearance of horses, and as horsemen so shall they run. Like the noise of chariots on the tops of mountains shall they leap, like the noise of a flame of fire that devoureth the stubble, as a strong people set in battle array. And the reason the prophet Joel is describing these missiles as horsemen and horses is because when he had these visions thousands of years ago, he didn't know what a modern nuclear missile was. So he described it in the best terms that he could as a weapon of war that he understood at that time. Same with these nuclear missiles being described as flying swords, glittering swords, as well as arrows. Verse 6, before their face the people shall be much pained. All the faces shall gather blackness. They shall run like mighty men. They shall climb the wall like men of war. And they shall march, every one on his ways, and shall not break their ranks. Neither shall one thrust another. They shall walk every one in his path. And when they fall upon the sword, they shall not be wounded. And where it says they shall not break their ranks, that's because, and that neither shall thrust one another, that's because when these nuclear missiles are fired, the spirit of Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushua is going to be on them to guide them directly to their targets. They're not going to miss. And where it says when they fall upon the sword, they shall not be wounded, that sword is referring to these anti-missile defense systems, which will fail in that day. The Most High is going to put His spirit on those anti-missile defense systems to fail. And remember how in that article on Reuters, they mentioned how the United States and Russia were opposed to this nuclear weapons ban. That's all scriptural, because it's going to be Russia, or that North country in Jeremiah 50:9, that's going to lead all these other countries to shoot their nuclear missiles onto Babylon the Great, which again is the United States of America. This is Jeremiah 50 verse 9. For lo, I will raise and cause to come up against Babylon, the United States of America, an assembly of great nations from the North country, that North country being Russia. And when you go to a map of the Arctic Sea, you'll see that Russia is north of Canada, and the shortest trajectory for these missiles to be shot from is from Russia over the Arctic Sea, past Canada to the United States, even though Canada and Alaska are going to get some of these missiles as well. And also, if you've been keeping your eyes in the news, Russia and China are making all these trade agreements and partnerships to create new trade routes and business in the Arctic Sea. And you best believe that there's some military applications in their plans as well, which is all leading to Jeremiah 50:9. And that assembly of great nations are Russia's allies, such as China, Iran, and North Korea, as well as the allies of the United States, which are going to turn against it in that day, such as Britain, France, and Germany, and other NATO nations as well. And they shall set themselves in array against her. From thence she shall be taken, their arrows, symbolically referring to those missiles, because again, the prophet Jeremiah didn't know what a nuclear missile was when he wrote these prophecies thousands of years ago, so he described it the best way he could with what he knew. Shall be as of a mighty expert man, none shall return in vain. These missiles are gonna, again, neither thrust one another and nor break their ranks. The spirit of Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushua is going to be on these missiles to guide them to their main target, Babylon the Great, the United States of America, and completely destroy it, turning it into the biblical lake of fire from sea to shining sea. So brothers, as you can see, with each passing day, we're getting closer and closer to all hell breaking loose with Jacob's trouble and this inevitable nuclear conflict. So do whatever you can to stay in the good graces of Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushai and not be taken out of this truth so close to the finish line. So with this video, I hope you sincere Akim were edified. And as always, I'm going to say Abba Ball, Kwam Yasharala. Till next time, Shalom.